Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of our audience joining from various parts of the world. My name is Jaksir. I'm a host on SecPod webcast, through which we bring you exciting news about not just what we're doing, but what's happening overall in the prevention world for IT security teams globally. I have with me Chandrasekhar, CEO of SecPod, and then Preeti Subramaniam, Director of Research and Development at SecPod, and both of them are here to talk about something new that we have developed. And I think in the last couple of days we have been talking to various groups, and I see both of them still having the same enthusiasm, in this talk as well. So, Chandra and Preeti, how does it feel like, based on the feedback that you receive from customers, and also when you narrate the same story again and again, how does it feel?
Hey, thanks, Jaksir. Good morning and good evening, everyone. Chandra here. I'm the CEO and founder of SecPod. Yes, so we've been talking about our product uh, recently. Since Monday, it has been live, and I've had the opportunity to talk to and present to groups of people from different regions. We also had a wonderful internal launch event as well. So the feedback that I'm receiving is pretty amazing so far, and people are really liking the product and they're able to connect to it. As far as my interest level goes, with every session that I've been part of since Monday, something new comes out each time, because I'm also discovering the product more and more, and trying to relate to cybersecurity and how prevention can be achieved with this exciting tool that we launched.
Great. Preeti, can you tell us a little bit about your enthusiasm as a product developer?
Yeah, so it has been 2 years, 1.5 years to 2 years that we have been developing this product. And when we showcased it in our internal launch to customers who had come, they flew to see this product. And they said that that makes sense, right? And that is very inspiring because we all do vulnerability management, compliance management. We want our organizations to be secure, but then that one step before, what we are supposed to do. And when customer says, yes, I want to do this, I want to bring order to my business, and that is what is keeping us on our toes. Yeah.
Great. Since you bring that up, Preeti, right? Developing something new. Chandra, how has been the journey of SecPod so far? And would you like to also share something about what role innovation has played in SecPod's DNA so far, and how do you see it adding value to customers?
Yeah, I think innovation is something that has been our key element to SecPod as an organization. Preventing cyber attacks is our mission. I mean, we want to provide security assurance to every connected device, and make sure that the cyber attacks are prevented in the first place, not get into the detection and response layer, but can we do everything that is required to make sure that the attacks are prevented. So that has been our mission, and in that direction, I think we've done a significant the industry redefining innovation, I would say, over several years. That has been an exciting journey, as an organization since its inception. The only way that we could enter into the market, which is already established vendors are out there, and we need to make a mark. And towards that, the only way that we can get there is to solve real customer problems and make prevention cool again. So that has been our journey, and towards that, I think we have done significant amount of innovation in this space. I'm really excited, and I'm also excited about some of the things that we are working going forward. beyond what we've done so far.
Oh, that's great. So I won't hold the audience for long. Can you tell us a little bit about what this new product is supposed to do? And I guess most of our audience would be interested in knowing who is the primary beneficiary of this solution and what is the big problem that we intend to solve with this solution. Over to you, Chandra.
Hope you guys can hear me still. It's been some technical
Yes,
glitches.
yes, we can hear you.
Just give me a moment, please. Sorry about that. So I was talking about innovation. So we say internally we call it as innovation exponential. So in order to build a foolproof prevention posture, uh, we need to innovate faster. And if you look at the attacks that are taking place today, I mean, you hear about a large number of cyber attacks. Attackers are able to penetrate through the defense mechanism so easily with increased amount of changes that are occurring in the IT landscape, the computing infrastructure, different kinds of devices, people working from different places, cloud infrastructure, OT infrastructure, internal IT, etc., etc. So this landscape is also changing. At the same time, attackers, I mean, too many weaknesses are out there which are easily exploitable by the attackers, and that is one of the reasons why attackers are able to succeed so easily. So our objective at SecPod is to ensure that prevention posture is built appropriately and making attackers' life tougher. So that has been our mission so far. In that journey, I think we've made significant innovation. So we were the first ones to make vulnerability scanning exercise really fast, and that has been a begging sort of a need in the industry because if you look at vulnerability scanning or vulnerability assessment exercises, people typically took about weeks together to complete the vulnerability assessment exercise and put together a report that ended up becoming a large pages of reports that you will have to understand, digest, study the vulnerabilities that are out there, and then work through the mitigation strategy. And if that exercise, if it is time consuming, uh, then we are not really doing the job appropriately. The reason for that is that too many newer vulnerabilities are being discovered, different kinds of vulnerabilities are being discovered. So in the absence of uh, automated scanning and fast scanning, so we won't be able to live up to match up to the attacker's capability. So this is one the big change that we brought in, made it into a continuous process. And we were also the first one to integrate vulnerability assessment exercise with mitigation. This is one significant jump, I would say, because two different products operating in silo, you'll always have those manual interventions that are required. One to study the vulnerability and then feed that knowledge into patch management, and patch management is kind of decoupled, so you don't have that integration that was necessary. And so we were able to feed the discovery into the patch management, so the patch management product already knows what vulnerabilities are there and how to mitigate it. So that was another significant innovation that we did back in 2015. And in 2018, we kind of stitched the whole fabric of vulnerability management, entire lifecycle management of vulnerabilities into one single platform. And we also made it into a continuous and automated routine. So this was launched in the year 2018. So we made some good early strides in the direction. towards achieving our mission. And today, what we have done is also a significant leap in that direction of providing our customers with the tool set that can really uncover a lot of cybersecurity exposures or risk exposures that go unnoticed and that are kind of low hanging fruit for attackers. So, one is having deeper visibility into the IT infrastructure. Most of the organizations struggle with that. So we don't know what devices are there and what is running in each of them, and do we have that clarity and confidence, which is so essential for cybersecurity or any security for that matter, having that clarity and confidence about the infrastructure that I'm trying to safeguard. Today's CISOs are brought in to secure the organization infrastructure wholly, and so they have a task cut out before them. So if you don't have that visibility and contextualized insight into the IT infrastructure that you are supposed to safeguard, so there's no way that we can actually safeguard the environment. So what we have done today is a significant rethinking of the process, I would say, in discovering some of these cyber risk exposures that go totally unnoticed, and also majority of the attacks are making use of some of these risk exposures that are there. So what we have launched today is basically to uncover those risk exposure, give our security administrators deeper insight and visibility and insight into the IT infrastructure, so they have the ability to take decisions, uh, at the same time remediate or fix those issues that are identified within the platform. So going with the same philosophy of not just discovering the problem, but we also want to remediate. This product also lives up to the same thought process of line of thinking. It finds the problem, it helps you remediate those problems. So what am I talking about? A little more information. So let me highlight some of the challenges that are being faced today. So most of the organizations, as I mentioned, visibility is one big issue. This lack of deeper visibility and insightful actionable insights are missing. And so the visibility that is there today is very superficial. So you know the devices and you probably know what software is installed on them. And that, in our view, is definitely not enough to secure the organization. So that is one problem, which is a visibility problem. Uh, Breaking it down further, do we know what is running in the IT environment? Is everything that is supposed to be authorized or supposed to have been authorized is only running and nothing else is there? Is there unused or unapproved computing that is present? Which is again, most of the attackers end up exploiting some of these unused or unapproved software and devices and configurations within the infrastructure. Secondly, do we have visibility to all the security controls and are they functioning as they were configured? Security controls is definitely going beyond antivirus checking. So typically, you want to know if your antivirus is installed, up to date, and running, and that's not enough. Even if you look at the operating system, there are hundreds of security controls that must be appropriately configured and ensure that those are staying as they are configured and there's no configuration drift. So that is the second question that we are trying to answer with our product. And thirdly, this is the most important thing, is about detecting certain outliers that are present in the IT infrastructure. What do we mean by outliers? So if you analyze data points from all the devices that are present within the network, you will see that some devices are standing out. Some devices are configured in a so different way compared to all other systems that are out there. So the visibility that is, I mean, today that visibility is totally
Okay. I think there's a glitch in Chandra's network.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he was talking about outliers, right? If the configuration are staying the way they are, and only when we see devices collectively, right, we will be able to see those anomalies coming out. And if we have access to sufficient data points to compute risks, that is when we can find issues, right? So if we are only handling a limited set of data, so that would be one of the problem points for our IT administrators and security administrators. And doing all of these calculations on these multiple data points and doing this manually, I think it is a long task to do, right? So we are providing a solution which is ready to use for our CISOs, security administrators, IT administrators, who would safeguard organizations against attacks. So, what is this revolutionary idea, right, that we want to present to the world? I'm really excited. So, I will dig deep into that. So on the left hand side, you can see devices, right? And on the right hand side, they all pretty look similar to me. There are so many devices, but then when you see them as an individual, right? So you see a vulnerability, you need to patch it, and that's a typical scenario that we would want to solve. Or they have some sort of configuration, security configuration, or firewall configuration that are there. But when I see them collectively, right, so I see that one of the devices or three of these devices have a different firewall configuration which stands out when I see them collectively. So one by one, assessment of devices versus looking at them together will make us find outliers better. And I think Chandra has joined us now. So I had continued the webinar.
please do.
The
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So when we see them holistically, we will be able to find more and more problems, bring more and more order, right, to how we want our landscape to be, so that it is easier to maintain. Um, and then when we have such a solution that idea that we are providing to the world, a lot of why questions start coming up, right? Why do I have this in my IT landscape, and do I really need this? Can I get rid of it? And that way we have lesser maintenance, we can have lesser uncertainties in the organization. So this is our posture anomaly computation framework that we have. In the center, you can see the anomaly engine. Now, we have a lot of data points. So we have about 100 plus probes having 1,000 plus attributes. So we have written some 70 plus very, very unique checks, right, in our engine, which would take data. We have broadly classified it as network, processes, services, risks. Maybe it could be a system setting, it could be a firewall configuration, it would be just the software applications that are there in the organization, in a group of devices. We feed that into our engine, which would do data analysis on these data points, right? So a very famous method that everybody knows, I think it is a well-known method to find outliers. It is the IQR method, where we find the frequency, compute the median, and we try to see what is falling, in the area where Q1 minus X into IQR. So IQR is basically the difference between Q1 and Q3. So less than 25% into minus X into IQR, they are our lower outliers, right? Very few machines have those, or too many machines have those problems, right? So we try to see what are these outliers, because both sides, we have to intelligently understand. So this comes as a lower outlier or an upper outlier or both. We also have rule-based outlier detection mechanism, where we use the sigmoid function. So basically, it's like S of x. In simple words, it performs the role of activation in machine learning, and it generally applies to non-linear data model, right? So that's where some of our data points may not be linearly. It's not suitable for a linear model. So in that case, we try to see if we can see the ARP entries, DNS cache entries that are there in the devices collectively. And we have X as the frequency of attributes, and Y as the risk properties that these attributes carry for the organization. And some are based on data trend. So I need to observe it over a day, 30 days period, to see if a host name is changing or an IP is changing, sudden increase in vulnerabilities, right? Sudden increase in compliance misconfiguration checks that we are doing. So that also generally should fall generally in a normal curve. But then if you say is any random variable which is normal, it should be say x into standard deviation of mean. But if it is greater than x into standard deviation of mean, then there is something that we mark it as outlier. So we have outlier detection, IQR method, data trend based, rule based. We also check security control deviations if there are any. And all this effectively helps us prevent attacks. So when we say anomalies, generally, till date, people look at it as an anomalous behavior. It detects an attack, but then nobody has looked at it from a prevention side. And that's the difference that we bring in. So that is our continuous posture anomaly management tool. We have given a slight sneak peek onto how our product looks like. And this is our invention. And why do we do this, right? And what is the scenario right now is that the IT and security administrators only look at these are the hardware devices that I have and the software applications that are running on these. And I generally do management of this. But then there are 100 plus data points that have to be looked at. And that is the difference that we bring in. On the right hand side, you can see it could be a lockout policy, or it could be services that are running, processes and vulnerable ports that might be open because of these processes. Then there are vulnerability and compliance also that we collect. And we also have DNS, system DNS, DEP policy, gatekeeper, all these settings that we check. So this is the list that we are going to provide to our consumers. And this is an innovative way to redefine cyber attack prevention, because we are going to take a step towards finding all these anomalies, getting rid of them from our IT landscape so that we have a better management of our organization. So, how does it all work? Is we collect a lot of data, which is fed into the big data store that we have currently. It could be your devices over the cloud, the instances that might be running, or virtual machines. It could be your servers, your workstations, right? It could be your tab, right, running a Microsoft OS. It could be anything. But then when we collect all this information, we feed this into the anomaly analysis engine, which, as I already told you, works on broadly. I have put four categories here: outliers, rule based, trend based, and security control deviations. We also take input from the user, right? We try to start and understand what is that you want your organization to have. These are the ports that should run, these are the services that should be there, and anything that falls outside what you have configured is a problem that we showcase. And we can also so we find anomalies, right? You could be okay with it. You know that there is a particular requirement for the business where you need this, so you can whitelist that, right? And all these are given as a visual interface and a reporting interface, and we also provide obvious fixes to these anomalies. So the fixes could be, you want to block an application, you want to flush the ERP entries, it could be anything. And when the fix is done and a scan is done, that provides as a feedback, back into the engine, so that it can discover more. Those anomalies will vanish, your data set changes, and then the landscape looks a little different, a little bit saner, right? Um, and that's the look we want on our IT administrators' face. This is a feather on their cap, because now they're going to use machine learning and deep learning, and they can do better analysis of what is happening in their organization. And they can collectively look at data, machine learn their IT, and find abnormalities through these statistical analysis methods that we have given. So these are some of the examples. I also have a demo planned today, so stay tuned. But these are some of the snippets that I have taken. So if there is any unfamiliar, unique application which is installed, right? Do you really need it? So that's the question. So if you have something that you can probably replace it, so that you have lesser things to manage. You have unusual services or processes running. So, for example, here a quick look satellite service or process you see, and it is hogging onto your CPU RAM. And then you observe that it is trying to read a file which is corrupted. So, do you really need it? Do you want to stop that service? You have large number of processes running in one of the systems. The obvious question is why. You would want to see what you can do to correct these machines. You generally face problems when there are too many kernel versions which are there. So sometimes it affects your data speed limit. Your mouse keyboard may not work with certain version of kernel. So you may not want to have them. And there's something that you versions that you depend on. So you can bring some sanity there. If there are any irregular IP mappings, right, or ARP, IP to host, or IP to MAC address mapping. So if poisoning has happened in the ARP entries, so that is a very great way to see, because here 1.38, four devices point to A7B069, but then there is one device which points to some other MAC address. This is something that we would need to be cautious about and probably flush the ERP entries. That is the action that we are giving. There are certain events in Microsoft that you have to be very careful about. Failed logon is happening continuously on some of the systems. A user account has been changed, or a scheduled task has been updated or created, right? These are some of the security events that even Microsoft says you should closely look on. So if it is a genuine failed login, then it's fine. You can whitelist them. But then if it is not the case, then there is something that we need to look into the infrastructure. There are some oddly running commands, you don't want them to run, right? So you need to know these things. You need to really know what is happening in all the devices. And everybody loves to listen to music. There is Spotify.exe running on 3 machines, but then they are making a strange foreign port connection, which you obviously have to be very careful about. So imagine the feeling that you get when you declutter your house, right? The lightness that you feel, the weightlessness that you feel. That is what we want to provide through this solution, right? Where you eliminate what you don't need, which automatically brings down your attack surface, because you have lesser number of software applications. Where you can predict that this is what I'm using. So as soon as the news comes in, it is there in your IT landscape. And this will get a control of your software bill of materials, right? This is what you want to run. There is no uncertainty, no unnecessary assets in your organization. Some of the examples here. You're working from home, you use your VPN, but hey, come on, I don't want somebody to use hideme.vpn. I want them to use what I provide, right? As a VPN software, I can manage it better. So, tomorrow, if there is a VPN tool which has been used for an attack, you should not be taken as a surprise. Oh God, this was there in my organization. So maybe you would want to remove this application. And I'm not a gaming industry. Hey, so why this gaming app is in my company laptop? Or are they those low hanging fruits, right? The obvious attack vectors, because they are not up to date, and somebody can make use of it for an attack. Hey, they're same application, different versions, right? So this is something that you would not want it to be, because then you have to manage each of them, ensure that they're up to date. So how to bring them into the same version. And if you look at the assets, generally names, Grammarly is running completely fine. But then it has been downloaded from a strange source and the publisher is unknown. So there is something that you need to be worried about. Probably have a verified application which runs in your organization. We deal with a lot of software licenses. We have bulk licenses, and then we invest in single licenses. So this is something which is very strange here, because most of them are bulk licenses, but there are a number of single licenses also. So very difficult to maintain that. So it makes sense to declutter these things. If somebody is using a collaboration application, fine, we all need to collaborate, talk, but then I do not want Facebook or WhatsApp to be installed, because they might be vulnerable to certain attacks. So I would want to remove them in certain times if they are not of any business use. And if I collectively see devices, and I see that one of the devices is standing out because its firewall configuration is very, very different. So that is also alarming. And we can make right changes to those firewall configuration through our solution and bring it back to what you are expecting. People are not at office, maybe on a long break, or they have left the organization, right? And those user IDs remain in those laptops. So you would want to remove them, because these inactive users are of no use and could be a reason for attack. So the one more important part is monitoring the security controls and identifying deviations. We can check Wi-Fi security, encryption, algorithm, any users with empty passwords, guest logins enabled, USC disabled, anonymous login, inactive users. We can check if there are any conflicting UID GID mapping, because you expect all the users to fall under one group, but then there are some anomalies there. BitLocker, you want it to be enabled all the time, and suddenly the protection goes off, right? And you would want to know if keychain is enabled, so that password remembering, managing is easier, and people don't resort to using text files to store their passwords. And you do not want malicious code exploits to be running, so you better have your system DB policies in place. So this is also one of the things that we check. We also want only trusted software to run on our Mac machines, so Gatekeeper has to be enabled. If there are any devices where they're disabled, it obviously comes out very well in our solution. You have boot options enabled, and you want UEFI to be enabled or a secure boot enabled. You can ensure that. And if devices are not time synchronized, there is no way we can find when that event happened, because it will give a false picture. So, and that is the only frame of reference for all devices in a network. So we can ensure that all the devices are time synchronized. So we have found a lot of problems, right? And just telling these problems is not, and giving IT administrators to just solve this by themselves is not going to be easy. Finding them manually itself is a huge task, fixing is another. So we give the right tool, to our IT administrators who can use this, or security administrators. They can collaborate and use this tool, and find the right solution to the problems that we have highlighted. So yes, you get rapid security mileage, right? We identify anomaly loopholes. It will increase your operational efficiency because less things to manage, right? And there are no uncertainties. You know what is running in your IT infrastructure, and you have the complete control, right? So before we jump in, should I give a quick demo of the product?
Definitely,
Yes.
Preeti, that'll be really interesting.
Yeah. It's not allowing me. Just give me a minute. I might have to rejoin. Chandra, would you want to continue?
Yes, I can finish the last part here. Now, we have launched a product called Posture Anomaly Management, or Continuous Posture Anomaly Management, a category defining product. We coined CPAM, which stands for Continuous Posture Anomaly Management. Now, Sena now as a platform is a cyber hygiene platform, and it's an advanced vulnerability management platform. So we implemented end-to-end vulnerability management in one platform with multiple products coming together and each of them feeding to one another. So customers have the ability to get visibility into the IT infrastructure on a continuous basis, and also detect vulnerabilities of different kinds and remediate and make this into a continuous process, and continuous and automatable process. Now, where does posture anomaly management really fits into this framework that we are talking about? So here is the framework that we have, and continuous posture anomaly management fits into the same philosophy of prevention of cyber attacks. Now, everything that we do around vulnerability management is to proactively identify risks and vulnerabilities of different kind, and eliminate those timely before attackers have a chance to exploit them. So that is vulnerability management in our definition. Uh, when we say vulnerability, it is not just the software vulnerability. Vulnerabilities of different kinds and risk exposures of different kinds. Everything must be detected. Everything must be mitigated timely. Now, going along with the same thought process, posture anomaly management fits into the control box that we have identified here. So one is providing visibility to the IT infrastructure, which our product asset exposure was already doing it. Now, with that visibility, we also have added additional deeper visibility into the IT infrastructure, but not just the deeper visibility, also identifying all those anomalies that are present in the environment. So what we call them as posture anomaly. So if we have visibility to those anomalies, and if we have dealt with those anomalies before subjecting the infrastructure for a continuous vulnerability scanning and mitigation exercise, I think a lot of effort from IT security and administration point of view will come down. That is one point of it. And also a lot of these anomalies are kind of low-hanging fruit for many of the attacks that are taking place today. So if we clean that up, and if we are able to eliminate those risk exposure early on in the cycle, I think it is going to be a big stride in the process of putting together a great prevention posture. And so that's where it fits into the advanced vulnerability management framework. Overall, it provides visibility, which is our AE, which is then control, which is our CPAM product that we have introduced, and VM and CM, which is vulnerability management and compliance management, fit into the detection and prioritization layer, where we are able to detect vulnerabilities of different kinds, from software vulnerabilities to misconfigurations, and security risk exposures, and even check whether certain security critical patches are missing or not. And then that information, detected information, is fed into the remediation engine, where our patch management product and also the endpoint management product work together to eliminate these vulnerability, either by rolling out software patches or by rolling misconfiguration fixes, or even array of actions that we have bundled within the platform to apply remediations that go beyond patching and that go beyond fixing misconfigurations. So this entire process, we are making it into a daily automated routine and unified console where customers have the opportunity to see everything at one go and take the necessary action. So that's how it fits into our advanced vulnerability management framework. Over to you, Preeti, for the demonstration.
Yeah, just let me know if you can see my screen.
Do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the dashboard. Of course, if you have used Saner, it will be under PA, just to maintain a two-letter thing. We have anomalies that we have discovered, and we can give confidence, right? So if it is there in a large number of devices, we are just not sure why it is like that. But then if there are a smaller number of devices, of course, we are confident that it need not be there. We also give you a density graph where we say that in 10 hosts, we have found this issue, a unique service running. And when we click on it, there are three families that we check: all the Windows devices, all the Linux devices, the flavors, and the Mac devices. One can click on it to go in. And this is the attack surface that we are trying to portray here. So each of the checks that we have written, I had already told that there were 70 plus checks. So each of them falls under one category, and this will give you a view of how your spider looks like, right? The web says that more problems are towards the system side. So this lists all the anomalies that we have. One can select all and go into it. I will just click on one of them to just give you a brief. Each check has been given an ID, and we give a small summary. When we go inside, we can see a lot of detail, and what is the confidence that we have and when it was detected. So going into unsigned apps, would want to see what are the unsigned applications which are there in the organization. um, is coming up, just a minute. Yeah. So I have 7-zip installed, but then it is from a place that, it's not signed by the vendor. Or I have a few applications which are not, which look very suspicious to me. So if I'm okay with it, I can select and whitelist it on currently listed devices or all the devices, even in the future. uh, and I can give you a better view of all the anomalies here. So these are anomalies and these have been normalized. So I have fixed, or they are not there in the organization. So say for example, I want to know what is the status of antiviruses that are there. Some of the devices may not even have an antivirus, right? That worries me. And maybe a defender is running but it's not up to date, so that is also something that I need to be worried about. So these are some of the details that we give. I was talking to you about getting a user input, right? So we can configure as a start what are the startup applications I would want. Say, for example, I don't want Cisco Spark to run or a meeting daemon to run by default as a startup application, because it just comes up, and probably it will be shown as a process which is running, which could be vulnerable. There are multiple such applications. I can select what I need and save it, and rest everything will be considered as a problem. Now, I am a gaming industry. Gaming application is not my problem. You can actually select
Sorry,
that and
just
whitelist.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is from me, but I'm not seeing the screen moving. Jexir.
Yeah, I can see the screen moving, Chandra.
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
And that's fine.
Continue.
No problem. If a check is not applicable to your organization fully, you can just select it, whitelist it, save it and whitelist it so that we do not bother you with those anomalies. Otherwise, you can see, atypical kernel versions which are there. Do not want this. This is only on one of the hosts. I am having a problem with it, right? So I will probably solve it, or I'm okay with it, so I will whitelist. So yeah, these are the things that we can do. Also, going back to the home page, I also give a device view, right? So these are the anomalies that are there. These are the devices. So if these are the categories on a single device, I have issues in all these categories. So if everything is green, there is something that we need to be worried about. And if I see the status as green right away, they are up, and I can, immediately put a fix on these devices. We also group them by, the groups that we have created. If you have used Sena, we can create unique groups. We can base it on family, on devices, how many are a problem, how many are not, right? So this is a very, very quick walkthrough. We also, you can write custom detection rules and responses. If you were using our EQR, this is under this. So scan typically happens daily, weekly. We would appreciate if you do it daily. It hardly takes any time, right? And you have to use this product to understand. You'll be surprised. So that's all I had.
Amazing, Preeti. While you were there, I think for Q&A we do have some questions from the audience. If you would like to show around the product or would like to answer them as such. So I would read out questions one by one, and then you can decide to answer. Also, I wanted to announce to our audience, please post your questions for both Chandra and Preeti, and then we'll answer them one by one.
Yeah.
First question that we have from the audience is, where are the data centers that you use for this analysis? What data is sent to the analysis engine?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
So in terms of our product, we have a SaaS-based version. So we use AWS for deploying our infrastructure across geography. So depending on where the customers are, customers have a choice of choosing which geography they would like their deployment to be. So that is one part of it. And what data is sent to the analysis engine? So everything that we collect out of the devices are metadata that is on the system, not really the data itself. So when I say metadata, it is the configuration information about the device, how certain things are configured, what is installed on them, and what kind of vulnerabilities are present, etc., etc. So it is all, it's what we need to detect a risk exposure or vulnerabilities is what we really collect, and then do a centralized data analysis to uncover these risk exposures, including posture anomalies.
Great. Another question we have is, could you replace a vulnerability scanner with this product?
I won't suggest that. But then this is one step before, as Chandra rightly put. So you bring sanity into your infrastructure, and then do the vulnerability scanning. Probably you have lesser vulnerabilities to fix because you don't have unwanted software assets in the organization.
Yeah, but I would like to add one point. You can certainly replace other vulnerability management products with our product.
Right.
This is a complete SIEM and now hygiene platform.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Can you use your product to scan devices like printers, switches, and firewalls?
Yeah,
Yes.
we have network scanner. Uh, which is in place, which collects all the network devices. And whatever from an external angle, we can see what applications might be running behind those ports that we can see in the network. We do find anomalies in those, right? And we take it forward.
Yeah, also, the network scanning capability that we have does not demand additional infrastructure investment from our customers. So the existing infrastructure can be used, the endpoint devices can be used to configure network scanning. The next question we have is, does this platform just identify vulnerable attack surfaces, or after finding the vulnerabilities, does it actually exploit them and generate the scenarios that can be used in a successful exploit?
So it identifies vulnerable attack surface. We also identify vulnerabilities part of our platform. But posture anomaly as a product is to uncover those attack surfaces that are vulnerable, which are not being detected today. So through that intelligent analysis that we do with the data collection that is happening from every device, we are able to uncover so many of those vulnerabilities that were widely open, risk exposures that were widely open, even before performing software vulnerability scanning. So it does detect vulnerable attack surface. So we don't go into the exploitation part of it because we know with certainty we are able to detect the vulnerabilities, and we are also having that intelligence, vulnerability intelligence that is fed into the platform. So that will help really prioritize those vulnerabilities that are out there, and help organizations to prioritize the remediation.
Okay, great. One more question that we have is, mobile threat management, is that on the roadmap along the way?
Yes, mobile vulnerability management is in the roadmap. We will be introducing that soon.
Okay. I think that's from a Q&A point of view. If anybody else has any other questions, please feel free. We have another 2 to 3 minutes as per the plan. Or if you would want to share them with us directly, you can email us at info@secpod.com. For our customers who already use Saner now, PA, as Preeti demonstrated, is already part of the Saner now platform. It has been upgraded. Previously, it was the EQR module, and now it has been upgraded to PA. For those who do not have access and either want a trial or a demo, please feel free to reach out to your account manager or send us in an inquiry at info@secpod.com. Meanwhile, we have another question. Which intelligent algorithm is used to detect potential threats from authorized users?
It's a very intelligent question. Uh, from authorized users, so linking it to an identity is a very important risk management strategy. And so there are products out there that will identity management products that will help you, authorize the users, and then based on those authorized users, what are they really doing? So we do analyze some of those activities from the authorized users, because everybody who's in within the network who have ability to log in and sign into the environment. So there will be some data elements that we will be capturing and analyzing those to identify potential vulnerabilities and risk exposures. So we are not just looking at unauthorized users. When you say unauthorized user, it can be anonymous user or a guest user that is present, or even showing the list of users who are having the ability to log into a particular system. But post that, once they have logged in, what are those activities and privileged accesses that they have. So all of these will be analyzed.
Perfect. Thanks for that session, Chandra and Preeti. Really useful and informational. We also have another question. Is the slide deck available? Yes. In fact, we would have the recording of this session available both on our YouTube as well as Bright Talk channels. We would also send a recording to your email if you would like to share this with your colleagues. And we have a lot of documentation already released as public knowledge on our website, and that you can find on our website. And to all our viewers and registrants, we are going to send all of that information on an email. One final question before we say goodbye. Can this platform be used in an embedded IoT environment? Chandra, Preeti, would you like to take it up?
Yeah, I think we should definitely discuss on this particular requirement. So if it is an IoT environment running on an embedded sort of an OS, we should be able to do it. But if it is an unknown OS, not something that is widely in use, so that is something that may need some sort of a active research from our end. So we can certainly discuss further, connect on a one-to-one basis, and take this up.
Definitely. We will reach out, our team will reach out and set up a conversation regarding this, and then we'll explore and share more information about this use case. Thanks for being an amazing audience. Thanks, Chandra and Preeti, for spending the time to talk about this new revelation. And I certainly hope there's more to see, and the customers find more and more value out of SecPod's innovations and solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Wonderful being here.
Thanks a lot. Take care.